Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Yes, it's Jason, Cosmic RSSP Authority. RSSP, you know what it stands for, right? How about Real Secret Space Program? The most fascinating, most important, powerful subject, I believe, of our times. And for a lot of reasons it is, my friends. Right? It absolutely is. These free energy propulsion systems, for example, it's going to get us off stinky oil and gas. It's going to end poverty. And it's going to beautify our planet, as I always say, in ways we can't even begin to imagine, for starters. And of course, I love my infrared photograph, my powerful, beautiful photo. See this, guys? It says infrared photograph of one of the gigantic cylindrical objects taken by the Hubble all the way in the rings of Saturn, my friends. It says in the rings of Saturn, but all the way in the rings of Saturn, deep in space, my friends. And Billy Carson, who owns his own space company called First Class Space Agency, he tells you that that's staffed by U.S. naval officers. He says the cigar-shaped craft deep in space are supermassive objects the size of small cities. They're staffed by U.S. naval officers, and he says that's a fact. So when he says it, you can take it to the bank, my friends, because his space company, First Class Space Agency, that means he's a hardcore space insider, right? He's not just some whistleblower, all right? I think that's real profound. Absolutely. So there's so much going on. I always say this is a very complex subject, multifaceted subject with a lot of moving parts. And it's fascinating. We can get a lot of truth on it, though. And that's why I do these videos, my friends, for human awakening, to try to bring that transparency and truth out, again, on this all-important subject. And I hope I'm igniting your intellectual curiosity. If you guys think I have a lot of value to share, and hopefully I am igniting your fertile imaginations and intellectual curiosity, if you appreciate my intellectual honesty, if you just enjoy my videos, please don't hesitate to give me a thumbs up. I hope, for heaven's sakes, you'll subscribe, maybe share my videos, and if you leave a thought, I read them, okay? And I thank all my present subscribers. I know we can take this channel to the next level. I'll be working with my professional photographer soon. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, my last video, I talked about who? This guy. I call him Alien Boy. No, it's Stephen Greer, right? Who I believe is a CIA asset. I said in the video that I believe he's working for a diplomatic U.S. PSYOP, deeply involved in a U.S. diplomatic PSYOP. I think it's undeniable. And this whole disclosure push, I mean, come on. It's a CIA marketing scheme largely, much like the TTSA was. Actually, it's a merchandise, scam. It really is. And if you really had serious intentions with disclosure, I mean, you would think you'd be talking about the real secret space program, the massive production going on the moon and Mars. Of course you would, right? I mean, it's just, but this is how, as I said in my last video, that's how apparently they want to roll reality to the public. And we can do better than that, my friends. We absolutely deserve the truth, and we're going to get into it, okay? We're going to do more on Stephen on another time. But today I want to talk about a very interesting interview, apparently. Now, I heard about it. I haven't watched the interview, but it was a co-founder of PayPal, apparently, and I think it was actually on CNN. So apparently I call it lamestream media, a lot of these multimedia outlets, corporate bought out, gullible media. But apparently they had an interesting interview for a change. And so the co-founder of PayPal, he claimed that there's been no real fundamental discovery breakthrough in scientific technology progress really since, well, for 50 or 60 years. For example, it takes the same amount of time to fly from JFK to Paris now as it did, 50, 60 years ago in 1964, right? And I have a book on the secrets of anti-gravity that basically tells you the same thing, that in the 1950s, they were predicting already that they had the technology that you could travel around the world basically in an hour or less, okay? But we've been held hostage. And I'll explain more. So, and I guess Field was saying sort of that we've tinkered around the edges in terms of technology. Now, I know people in Silicon Valley, right? The technological wizards and people with a lot of technical savvy over there, some brilliant people, they're going to be saying, what are you talking about, Jason? And I would say, well, first of all, I'd say your phone, of course, is from 100 years ago. The internet is from DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Program Administration. I like to call it Diabolical Advanced Research Program Administration. They love to use the word administration, just like NASA back in the day. Originally, NASA was, the last word was agency stood for, but they think it sounds more formal if you use administration, but whatever. So the technologies in here, those came out of the covert programs. They were spun out, right? And then people innovate. So it's more innovation and application. It's not real discoveries that we're talking about. And yet, when somebody does come out with a fundamental breakthrough in discoveries like, i.e. free energy, for example, like anti-gravity, the electromagnetic propulsion systems, the free energy harvesting devices that we know people develop, my friends, what happens? Well, we know it either gets bought out, or they take it right from you, or it's done through national security order and or through the patent law process of seizure, right? I mean, for example, at the American Federation of Sciences, they tell you 5,135 patents have been seized. Isn't that unbelievable? Yes. So, we need transparency and honesty, and we've got to fight the good fight on this, my friends, because they've held us back. And this goes the same with people at universities, the university industries, right? This holds the same for, inventors. They take these patents, they classify it, and it allows the covert military civilizations to go way, way beyond, way ahead of us, the rest of the world, my friends. And so, our society, we live in amazing times. The internet's fantastic. But again, your phone was from 100 years ago. All the lighting in the apartment and buildings, well, that just came from the fire power plants, right, from the 1800s, okay? And your car engine is the same that Mercedes had in the 1800s with internal combustion, right? Jet engines was developed in the 1930s. Rockets, 1940s. Atomic power, 1945. So I would agree with Field. There's really been no fundamental discovery, at least publicly, since then. And yet I'll talk about the classified world, my friends, because it's a whole different world. And there's millions of people in these compartments. For example, a lot of the technologies, I believe, night vision, your fiber optics, integrated circuits, definitely, things like 3D printing, nanotechnology, a lot of these technologies come from the covert programs. And a lot of them come from, I would say, military UFO flying programs, okay, in the classified world. It starts in those dark projects, in these top secret, unacknowledged special access projects and programs, my friends. That's where the testing, the researching, developing, ultimately curating these amazing technologies that happens, all right? And a lot of it goes for the real secret space program. Absolutely it does. And then a lot of these technologies get transferred over, they're moved over to their corporate partners, right? Where they get monopolized, and it's caused enormous wealth and revenue for these private corporations and companies, and a group of people that have enormous privileges, in other words. And by the way, privileges, as the great Catherine Austin Fitz will tell you, privileges are the most wasteful thing you can have for an economy, because it can literally destroy so much optimization that it destroys the wealth. It destroys the wealth with the people with those privileges. And that's what's happening. The people in the know have all these privileges, all this crazy elite secrecy that's going on. Even though millions of people work in these departments, in these compartments, but you can't report out. Once you get to it unacknowledged, you can't report out what you know. You certainly can't report you're not going to be reporting out to the, budgetary defense or auditors. And so a lot of these technologies, I think I call them the corporate spin-offs, just like, sort of the technologies in your phone. again, they get eventually turned into a product, okay? For example, but, you know, we, the taxpayers, first we pay for research on these things, you know, and, you know, they get slapped a patent on, and it's like, oh, well, we invented it. So, again, it starts within these dark projects, the classified world. And I'm going to give you an example, my friends, a very profound example. You know, and a shout out to my buddy Joe from the Carolinas. Hi, Joe. He's done some great work again. And Joe's been talking about, in so many words, the tensions between, you know, China and America, and to do with the space-based economy, the space programs out there. So I appreciate it. And he's getting a lot of primary source material. That's how he likes to orient his research. So this is for you, Joe, and for all of you out there, because I've got 2 newspaper articles that I'm going to describe to you guys in the 1950s. We're going to get into in a second. And I think they're the most important primary sources showing you that we made a fundamental discovery breakthrough, and that's in anti-gravity, this gravity research going on. And that relates to the real secret space program, allowing UFOs to go all over our solar system, and particularly the moon and Mars, but all the way in the rings of Saturn too. Pretty amazing, huh? So let's get into it, shall we? How about, this is November 29th, 1955, Amarillo Daily News. Front page heading said, "Spaceship marvel seen, if science can outwit gravity." And it went on to say, many in American electronic industries are excited about the possibility of using magnetic and gravitational fields as a medium for support for amazing flying vehicles that will not have to depend on air for lift. Isn't that amazing, my friends? They don't have to depend on air for lift. And it goes on to say, spaceships will be able to accelerate in a few seconds to many thousands of miles an hour, and suddenly changing course at these speeds without subjecting the passengers to the so-called G-forces from gravitational pull are also envisioned. Now, isn't that another amazing statement? You see, we all know with conventional aircraft, of course, first of all, you can't accelerate thousands of miles an hour within seconds like these do. I mean, the 1989-1990 famous Belgium UFO case, of course, we know, you know, seen by thousands of witnesses, by the way, the TR-3B, those huge black triangles, the F-16s chased them, as the regular military always do, and those TR-3Bs, literally from takeoff, they left those F-16s in the dust at over 40 Gs, my friends. Totally unconventional technology. As I always say, we're not talking aerodynamics here. It's a totally revolutionary non-Plutonian physics. Okay? Absolutely it is. And so it's an amazing statement, you know, and of course aircraft, you can't turn 120-degree angles at thousands of miles an hour. You can't stop on a dime like these UFOs practically can. You can't turn 90-degree angles at thousands of miles an hour. Okay? So, and now how about also my second favorite article that I read, there's about 2 newspaper articles back in the day, again, talking about this historical legacy of gravity research. They were doing an epic human project in terms of, you know, researching, testing, ultimately curating, as I described, radical, gnarly UFO technology. They absolutely did. Military UFOs, baby. So, Amarillo Daily News, November 27th, 1955, right around the same time frame, right? It's the front page heading was Conquest of Gravity. Conquest of Gravity, aim of top scientists. And it said, if gravity, many people are excited that if gravity could be understood and negated, no, hold on, sorry, sir. Let me just have a sip of water, one moment. We'll get to it. I promise. It said, Conquest of Gravity, aim of top scientists. One fantastical possibility is that if gravity could be understood scientifically and negated or neutralized in some inexpensive manner, it would be possible to build aircraft, Earth satellites, and even spaceships that will be able to move swiftly into outer space without strain beyond the orbit of Earth's gravity field. And get this, it said, and they will not have to wrench themselves from the brute force of powerful rockets and expenditures of fuels. That's exactly right, my friends. I always say, why are we still using liquid nitrogen rockets? I mean, come on, that's obsolete dinosaur technology, all right? Elon Musk, he's using his Falcon 5 sophisticated heavy rocket, right? Give me a break. He knows that the military-industrial complex, particularly the covert military civilization, he knows that they are literally living, as I always say, in an anti-gravity space travel revolution. I mean, come on. We could see it for our own eyes, my friends. You just got to open your eyes. It's incredible, right? There's so much video evidence, and we need more truth on it. We deserve it because, again, the technology that they've been holding back the most with these covert military civilizations, my friends, is the free energy generation propulsion systems. That's what they don't want let out. Well, it's too damn bad. You know, I say it's been 60 plus years we've been lied to on this, man. You know, it's outrageous. But so, you know, we can get our power and sovereignty back though, my friends. I always say that, right? We absolutely can. But it's going to be a culture shift. It'll be a cultural drive. It's going to take a lot of prototyping, but we can ultimately make that societal shift and get our divine right to this spiritual dynamo technology. That's what it is, because it is partly the 0 point energy. They're getting this amazing energy from our cosmos, okay? They call it the 0 point energy. And the rotating plasma, we're going to get into more about this technology, and I have broken down a lot of it in the TR3B series on the black triangles. You guys can look at it if you want, okay? So, again, my friends, I agree with Field that there's been really no fundamental discovery, though, that we see, at least publicly, unless you look at video evidence, of course, but the mainstream media, there's just been no understanding of this anti-gravity. And so when Field says there's been really no fundamental discovery and technological progress since 1945 with atomic power, I think that believes what he said, then I would agree with that. Absolutely. And we got to change that. And remember, again, these private corporations, they're monopolizing a lot of these technologies. And, you know, again, it gets turned into a product eventually. We're paying for the research for these things. They slap on a patent. You know, it's like, oh, look what we invented. But we're doing more innovation application. It's not really fundamental discoveries. And as I told you, when somebody does come out with one, you know what happens. All right? So this is what I wanted to talk about and share with you guys today. I think it's very important. I hope you guys will agree. I mean, this has got profound implications, especially when we get our divine right to this anti-gravity. It's going to end all poverty. I predict in about 10 years. A lot of researchers think so as well. It's going to, again, we can manifest a true beauty for ourselves, my friends. If we coalesce our ideas and thinking, if we unite together, we absolutely can. We can beautify our planet in ways we can't even begin to imagine. You think our precious planet is beautiful now? Well, we know we've got a lot of pollution, though, at the same time. We can end all that, my friends. We can help clean up this environment so much once we start utilizing some of these free energies, okay? And so let's do it, you know, but we've got to get truth and transparency, and we have to compel our government leadership as well to start to explain away the cover-up. You know, that's the problem. That's why I did that video on Stephen Greer, and I tell you what, you know, he doesn't have complete noble intentions, or he would be talking about the real secret space program, and he would stop with the ET nonsense, okay? But the reason being is, and the reason, you know, the government cannot give moral absolution, the government and the leadership, because they know exorbitant amount of resources have been stolen. They know enormous amounts of money, trillions and trillions of dollars have been stolen by U.S. taxpayers. And of course, they use a vast amount of covert economic crime cash flows. And all this money is being used for the covert military civilizations to live through an anti-gravity space travel revolution. And it's not just Americans, it's trans-international, folks, okay? Going to the moon and Mars on the one side of Mars. And even, you know, by the way, the 3D printing I mentioned earlier, my friends, the nanotechnology that for sure comes out of the covert programs. Billy Carson, remember, who owns his own space company, I told you, First Class Space Agency, he tells you that there is 3D printing going on the one side of Mars. I know it sounds wild, right? You know, we've had some truth on 3D printing here on our beautiful planet. Well, you better believe it is happening on the one side of Mars, because 3D printing is ideal for covert production. It really is. And you can get those massive infrastructures that we see on videos, you can get them built in no time with 3D printing. And it is happening. And there's a lot more happening we're going to get into on future videos. But that's one of the amazing technologies, and we still haven't got, 3D printing, we haven't got that doled out in a retail or wholesale sense yet, right? No retail or wholesale sense yet on 3D printing or even cold fusion. We're finally starting to hear particularly from Lockheed Martin, but also Northrop Grumman, that they may come out with cold fusion, possibly, hopefully in a retail sense and maybe wholesale sense, right? Well, that should have been happening decades ago, for example, my friends. Absolutely. Ronald Richter, the famous brilliant Nazi scientist, he was doing cold fusion experiments and his amazing plasma experiments and everything way back in 1936. Absolutely. And we'll talk more about him in the future. Okay? So, thank you for listening to my video today, my friends. I hope you find it interesting. I hope you like and enjoy my videos and think I have a lot to offer and of value. And I just hope you really enjoy what I've got to say. And if you do, I hope you will subscribe to my channel. I know, as I say, we can take it to the next level, all right? But I need your guys' support, okay? Give me that thumbs up. Hope you'll share my videos. And again, feel free to leave a comment. More great videos to come. I think we're definitely going to talk more about the secrecy, either on the next video or the video after, how that's, the structure of this secrecy a little bit more. And we may do another video you can look forward to, guys, on Stephen Greer, the CIA asset, I believe, who's involved in this diplomatic CIA, PSYOP, there's no question, for U.S. psychological operations. I mean, you can see it. This whole ET push, it's all military UFOs, my friends. Again, I will never vacillate from my conviction that it's all military UFOs. But also, I will never vacillate that we can get our power and sovereignty back and get the truth on it, my friends. And we still live in remarkable and privileged era, exciting times. We made the discovery breakthroughs, my friends, particularly the brilliant American scientists, with the Nazi Paperclip German scientists. That's when technological progress really got ramped up after 1947. And with that gravity research going on, that epic human project, as I described in the 1950s, that's with those UFO flying programs, as I say, technology really got ramped up with the UFO radical gnarly technology. So thank you guys. More great videos to come, hopefully. And we'll be working with my professional photographer in less than 4 months. I'm really looking forward to it for you guys. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Live strong. More videos to come. Bye-bye.